And we are live. Here we are for a dive into Svengoolie featuring Dracula tonight. There's actually a double feature tonight, but let's not bury the lead. This is the 95th anniversary of the 1931 Bela Lugosi Dracula theatrical release. So we're here to talk about all things Svengoolie, all things Dracula, show some collectibles, talk about some history, look at some Mego, look at some Super 7, some Funko, some NECA, some Jada figures, a whole bunch of stuff. Welcome. So happy Svengoolie Saturday. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy 95th anniversary of the theatrical release of the Dracula motion picture. I'm going to flip the screen around just a little so I can better navigate through the metv.com website right here. Again, look at that. That's a movie poster starting off the whole movement of talking movies, horror movies as set in motion by the Universal Studios. Playing tonight, 8 p.m. if you're in Eastern Time, or Western Time, 7 p.m. Central. The second half of the double feature is the heavy hitter of Dino Shark, to be shown on the House of Svengoolie, starting at 9:30 Central, 10:30 everybody in all the other time zones. Again, here's just some recent picks. If you're not familiar with the MeTV.com Svengoolie section, people can send in their pictures, get them posted. Here's a real good cross section, a real nice sample, a little bit of art, a little bit of t-shirts. And then the Sven blog, as always, is right there available, as is posted every week. The double feature that bites, the original Dracula and Dino Shark. So, oh, look right there, shop now. That's a good reminder, because today being the 14th, you can put in your code for Love Me or Love Sven, get a 14% discount. 14 is related to today's date, the 14th. Let me also say there's no official endorsement situation between MeTV and this dive-in channel right here, right there. 14 all month long. It lasts. You can get the new trading cards. You can get anything that's already in stock. So there's good stuff. Again, I encourage people to check out the blog and the whole MeTV system, the whole MeTV online presence. Okay, so we've covered that. Let's come to comments, as is. Let me close out my face. Let's go. What's your background? The background is perfect question, Chai Star. The function of the background right now is to avoid the echo effect. So I'm using the same system right now that I did when I shot the creature collectibles show. So let's backtrack. Now on this playlist, we are at 4 for 4. We have The Mummy. We have Frankenstein and Young Frankenstein. We had Creature of the Black Lagoon. And now for this playlist, we're adding in Dracula. That is to say, when I was first setting up the channel and I wanted to get all this monster content out there into the world, it came to me, by what format will I do this? So I decided when Sven shows the classic Universal character, that's when I'll come in and do some material. So here we are, and it's Saturday morning, and it's relatively warm out in the Windy City by comparison to the colder weather that we've had before. I'm sure Berwyn is at a nice, lovely showtime temperature also right now. So now let me stop hiding my face behind the comments. We encourage comments. I'm going to be juggling screens and phones and comments as we go. All right, so let's go to our next screen share to come over to the land of Reddit. All right, stop screen. Hey, look, there's the background. We got some a variety of collectibles and such right here, but let me come back into share screen. Let's go to Reddit, because I was asking people in the land of Reddit. And let me scroll down over here. Is that the same thumbnail we're looking at right now for this very show? Whoever small alternative jumping in. with the Saturday Morning Post there to get the excitement up. Dracula 95 years. But let me come to the poll. Where's the, oh, right. Nah, there's Nanette saying, and hello to Nanette and happy Valentine's Day. And thanks to Nanette for getting in there with that. But I'm trying to now locate. And there's more Nanette art. Tombstone, my favorite guy. Other business, the link to Chris Hamby's blog. We're going to come to Chris Hamby's blog. Here we go. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm asking the people of Reddit. There's a lot of excitement going on here, but what is the most exciting thing going on right now? Is it Valentine's Day in itself? We got 1 vote. Is it Dracula, the movie in of itself? We got 2 votes, but we got 45 votes to recognize. The most exciting thing today is Sven playing Dracula today on February 14th for the 95th anniversary. As long as we're here in Reddit territory, let's check out a little bit more Nanette art, because look at Nanette being so generous to share with the people. If you're here but you're not on Reddit and you want to see more Nanette art on the Sven verse, that's definitely a good way to go, to either stop by or formally join into Reddit. All right, let's go. Let's come back out of Reddit, stop sharing, and then come back over here again. And now let me go with one more screen share, and then we'll jump over to the collectible section. Oh, wait. You know, Chester, because this is so complicated, because there's so much going on for this one, I almost nearly had you come over to scare me, or to help me steer through the whole business of the show. But let me come over now again, back to share screen. 3 for 3 on the share screens. Let's get in there and let's get to Chris Hamby. If you're not familiar with the Chris Hamby blog, there are 2 top Sven bloggers. Of course, Terror Dave is going to give you the best coverage on Svengoolie events. If you want the best coverage of the actual movies, the place to go is Silver Screen Reflections right here by Chris Hamby. So just look at, again, the meticulous, methodical work of Chris Hamby, pulling lots of different information sources. If you stop in at Silver Screens, you will see plenty of material on the movie itself and the production. Look at this, some black and white photos, some a variety of things coming together, a little bit of YouTube clips of the old days of Svengoolie when he was still son of Svengoolie on WFLD, when it was a Chicago only show. And just again, Hamby always hits it out of the park, but his research this time around, his compilation of his, there you go. Look at the claw hand. Look at that claw hand of Dracula going against Van Helsing. So I encourage people to check out the MeTV itself. Check out the Reddit and check out the Silver Screens. All right, so now let me come again back to where I can. Well, we are talking terror. We are again with the. All right, so let me see if I can successfully steer here now and jump over to the other desk featuring the collectibles. Again, I'm amateur-ish on navigating the killing the echo. So the part of the reason we're having to set up this way is, okay, so let's switch places with the collectible camera, and then blow that guy up, and then Chai-Star, if the mic isn't working in a second, do let me know in the comments over in the group text. I'm gonna jump from here to start to show these Migos FTC guys, and 3, 2, 1, here we go. All right, here we are at the collectible desk. I'm hoping the audio is still good. So let's start with the FTC. Let me pull the camera back just a little touch here. Let me start with FTC Svengoolie. Again, a little bit sounds good. Awesome. All right, good to know. Again, let's get some detail in here. Let's get some clarity on the detail. Now, in real life, it's a pin, a skeleton pin designed by the Hallmark, the good people at Hallmark. And so right here, it's just a fabric imprinting of it. Anyway, good articulation. Uh, we often say in Reddit, does Sven have his hat or not? A little bit of inside jokes, but absolutely there is the hat of Svengoolie on. Svengoolie, again, good. He's alive and kicking. Dad jokes, bad jokes. All right, here we go. I'm moving Sven over. So as I was posting in Reddit, let me say now here, get a little sentimental. Gotta take a swig out of the diver mug first. Diver mug compliments of Chai Star G himself. The whole reason all this started, like even before Svengoolie was a show I ever watched, I was a young little guy in the world, and my dad had an affinity, an appreciation for these movies. So my dad would play around as Frankenstein. He'd go stomping around, and then my brother would be doing Dracula. I'm sure a lot of what we were doing. Now this is in the early to mid 70s. My brother would probably be doing the Dracula cape and I want to suck your blood and that kind of stuff. And then I would run around like the Wolfman and go growling and all that stuff. I say this to say my dad put it into young me, early life me, the appreciation for the characters in the movies. And so now, how cool is it that here we are in 2026 being able to celebrate the 95th anniversary of the 1931 theatrical release. So my dad wasn't even born yet in 1931. It wasn't until 5 years later, 1936, was when he came around. But he is of that era. Look at it. Hang on. Show on stage. Look at that. Great memories, Mr. C. I think I got the comment actually shown. Look at that. It's nice when you have a good phone that's able to do these things. All right. All right. Water's good. Water's good. All right, so let's start with who came first here. This guy, this Migo Dracula. Again, the quality of the material on the cape. Migo is known for being very affordable on the relative scale compared to your NECAs and your Jadas and your sideshows. Sideshow guys right in the background here. Very good. Again, the buttons on the vest, on the waistcoat. We'll see a recurring theme here of how did the colors get adapted, right down to his vampire shoes right here. This guy definitely came from Target and for a bunch of years ago now. But again, let me try to get nice and close. That's a really good paint job on the face. That's a really good Dracula that we have here. And so then the other guy, let me show him first by himself, and then slightly different paint job, slightly different arrangement, slightly different. So obvious difference. The red cape is a little bit more catching, a little bit more contrast to catch your eye. So there we go. Migo, gray cape Dracula, Migo, red cape Dracula. Don't want to meet these two guys in a dark alley or in Carfax Abbey or any kind of a way, any kind of a place. All right, so let me send these guys back into the background so they can rest. Where do I go next? I think since he's right here, let me just tilt the camera up just a touch. Now, this is from the J-Spy collection. Well, here on the MIB channel, he will refer to his Roberto Ligotti collection for the items that he picked up from his pal, who's now no longer with us, Roberto Ligotti. So that's on the MIB side. Now, for me, there was a time where J-Spy had let me know that he needed to downsize some stuff while he was moving, and that turned into my good fortune. So these are Sideshow collectibles released through Diamond Select. Again, I can't even call this an action figure. I think this is more like, in my own terminology, a posable statue. Again, talk about nice quality cape. So again, we're having the theme of a gray inset of the opera cape. Again, the medallion is being worn. We have the red, I don't want to call it a lanyard, but let's say it's a ribbon combination with the bow tie. So again, amongst all the Universal monsters, Dracula is obviously the most dapper. Again, this guy does have some articulation, but I don't want him falling all over. He's a high-end guy. But let me again come in close. So right, the different variations on the interpretation of Bella's face. Some stuff is Bella Lugosi licensed. Some stuff is not. So let me gently send Sideshow Collectible Drac to the back. Where should we go next? Let's take a good historical piece here. We have here Remco. So now I guess I'll jump to Super 7 next to try to do a comparison. But this guy is actually vintage piece found in the attic, but in the early 80s. Trying to get it more clear. There, I guess that's as clear as we can get in his face. All right, so there is Remco Dracula. Again, Remco didn't have as much articulation as other stuff, but in the popularity of the Kenner Star Wars figures, the 3.75-inch characters definitely got popular. So it's super cool to have this guy from back in the day, from the old days. Good stuff to be had. Got the little drip of blood right there. Your footsteps. Well, maybe I should have turned off the mic before I switched over from the other station. I guess we'll have some footsteps. Chai-Star, I'd be lost without you, pal. Okay, so now, right in the vein of your classic Remco Draculas, here's the Super 7, which will bring me to another Chai-Star piece in a little minute. But so right here, compare and contrast, right? You can do a lot more as the years pass as far as getting detail on your figures, but obviously traces its roots too. Again, we got the colored medallion, the ribbon holding in the medallion varies from figure to figure. It's pretty much we're still in a three-piece suit of a white vest, black jacket, black pants. And this guy, his cape, it doesn't show very clearly because the backing of the box is red, but he's definitely a red cape guy. And then the candle holder, which one thing at a time. Okay, the candle holder is another recurring accessory that we'll see come and go again. I picked this guy up from Smash Toys and Collectibles right here on Harlem Avenue, on Toohey at the corner of Harlem. So look at it. Okay, Fanboy is joining us. Let me go show on stage. My goodness, when you have a newer phone, it's easier to show comments from the phone. All right, very good. Thanks for joining us, Fanboy. All right, so again, let's come to the back, and we've definitely shown other Super 7 items around here and around Fanboy Cantina in the past. New Bela Lugosi Dracula, collect them all. And then as did the G.I. Joe guys have their file card. Reaction Monsters says here, Count Dracula is a centuries-old vampire who resides in a decaying castle in Transylvania until he transfers over to his Carfax Abbey estate. With aristocratic demeanor and hypnotic gaze. Definitely, if we're breaking down the powers of Dracula, I'm glad to see it phrased this way, because that is one of his core monster abilities, the hypnotic gaze, the ability to take over someone's will. Lures unsuspecting victims to sustain his immortality by drinking their blood. His journey to London, see, I knew that was coming, brings terror as he seeks new prey, but he has to face the brave efforts of Professor Van Helsing and his allies. And the classic quote, listen to them, children of the night, what music they make. That's also Monsters That Made Us also use that quote in their opening bit. Definitely worthwhile to check out. Check out file card is cool. Let me just show on. Look at me showing comments. All right. And there was the Yo Fanboy from Chai-Star also. All right. And again, we like to recognize the artist, so I definitely should have prepped myself better for the artist. I believe this is Ed Repka. And if I'm wrong, I'll come back and correct myself. Look at that art. Look at that art. Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, where do we go next? I guess let's keep working from this way over. So we had the Remco size. Now, on a kid-friendly way of things, let me pull the, all right, on the kid-friendly way of things, we have the Imaginext. And again, the accessories, the red cape, and this, what era? I'm trying to peg which movie had this exact look to the bat, but I got some stuff on my thumb. Anyway, Imaginext Dracula, absolutely a noteworthy entry in all the Dracula ways. Let me spin him around here. Let me show him without the cape. Again, these were like $4 or thereabouts, maybe $6. They're they're a historical piece now, not currently on the shelves. But again, as we say over and over at Fanboy Cantina and over here, the devil is in the details, and what a great set of details are here on Imaginext Dracula. Okay, we got him, we got Remco, we got a Dracula duck, because why not have a Dracula duck? All right, let me go socks. No, let me go over here. So the monogram characters, boy, Etsy sending notifications into my phone. That's all right, Etsy. You don't know I'm doing a live stream right now. So here is a monogram bag clip. Let me hold him from here so he can swing around a little bit. Again, I like that mad monster party energy in his eyes. Oh, Nanette, let me get Nanette's comment on the screen. I missed some of this. Nanette, that's okay. We appreciate you being here. And you can always check it out later if that fits your schedule. So again, this guy's kind of going off to the side. Here's another monogram. You can look up on the monogram.com website. Maybe it's Monogram International. Again, the theme of the bow tie and the gray cape. A little bit Mad Monster Party eyes here, with the hypnotic gaze. It's all coming together. Everything's turning up a blood party. Let me get a couple more monograms in here. So this guy again with the famous candle. In this format, I can see why they'd go with a candle holder that was just a straight piece there to hold. Definitely, they have the more elaborate handle candle holder as represented by the Super 7 guy here. I'm not sure how clear it is through the packaging, but it's got that dragon style base in there. Okay, two more monograms to go. Look at it. I love the colors on this guy. It's good energy. Now the bow tie so where'd this guy go? So these two are just the repaints of each other, but how cool they are. Purple, very, very bold color, a little bit of Count Von Count inspiration on the color, maybe. TriStar says, got any Count Chocula? That's it. We're about 5 to 10 minutes away from Count Chocula. We're covering all the bases. Here's the final of our monogram. So they have the movie poster size. Now, Monogram Series 4 is out. I have yet to see that in the stores. I chose so far at this point to not go the eBay route on that. Okay, but again, these are nice. They're again, they could just go totally flat on the back, but again, the degree of detail, the craft work they have, Dracula, the movie poster, blah 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 blah. Okay, let me get the monogram guys over to the side, out of the way. That brings us to the Monsterologist patch. Again, we discovered Monsterologist at the Horror House, 28, is it 42 now? North Milwaukee? Well, right there in the 2800 block of North Milwaukee, right across the street from the Brood. Fanboy says, black and white for the win. Yep, black and white is good, sir. Black and white is good. So again, I'm saying the same stuff, but because it's still true that all these different expressions have such great details and have such great style, but what a snarling Dracula. Again, the color choices right there to get the blue threads contrasting to the black threads, the red monstrous eyes, compliments of or from Monsterologist. We got a yes out of Fanboy Cantina. So there we go. Okay, moving on. Okay, that covers Monsterologist. Monsterologist will often appear at the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, which is a good event. We made it up there to the Milwaukee one the one time. That was actually a little bit nicer than the McCormick Place one, per the anecdotal, my anecdotal attempt. And okay, all right, Monsterologist. Now, again, there was a point in time where I said, am I going to be that guy? How all in am I going to be? Am I going to get the monster socks, or am I going to be a person who does not have monster socks? And absolutely right here, these are the odd job or odd somebody Anyway, if you Google around monster socks, there's only so many purveyors. Now we have a little bit of green tint in the eyes. Again, white bow tie, rocking, but absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad I did take the plunge. I did dive in. Now Nanette is saying, show on the stage here. Love the Dracula socks. Well, Nanette, I'm right. I said, am I going to embrace my own madness or am I going to run away from my own madness? And I said, well, here we go. I'm getting monster socks. Now, here we go. Compliments of from good old Chai Star himself. The same movie poster. Wait, where's the monogram now? The monogram guy is under the socks. The same movie poster that's right here is now on the cover of NECA. And again, we're going to look at the Jada. Oh, I'm seeing my reflection. Ooh, scary reflection. I'm seeing my reflection in the packaging. Let's get an MIB inspiration here. So as is typical of the NECA figures, you get some nice interior art right there. The top hat, the class act. It's got the walking stick going there. And for the actual figure, you've got three portraits, as they're sometimes referred to. Again, the theme of it is the top hat there for Sven, is the top hat there for Dracula. Man, I really feel like MIB right now trying to manage the glare and get a good angle on this figure. So these are definitely high-end, high-quality, great figures to have. Let me come get some of the side art in here too. Many thanks to Chai Star for sending this very Dracula to me. This is some top, look at there, with the hat, without the hat, Dracula, Bella. Man, what a fine figure, fine visage that Bella brought to the role. Okay, we got that guy covered already. There's the Sven coffin. Let's all right, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go from compliments of Chai Star to compliments of Fanboy G. We've spoken time and time again of the capacity for glow in the dark figures. I could maybe, I don't know. Here, let me set him into the ring light for a minute. And let me come back to him. Let's take a good look while we're charging, trying to pull the glow in the dark gimmick. Let's take a minute to look at the Svengoolie coffin that comes from the Figures Toy Company with the Buddy Sorrell character right there. All right, I don't know if that is enough of a charge. Maybe it is. So this is, again, NECA. So we're in NECA territory. Glow in the dark, the Ben Cooper style. Ted! All right, Ted, let me get to Ted. I'm talking MIB, and I spoke Ted into the mix here. Ted's just here for the Migos and Count Chocula. Ted, if Count Chocula wasn't just seasonal right now, I would have a bowl of Count Chocula right here, but the chomping, slurping sounds might be a little too much. All right, let's see again. Will I pull this off or will I crash and burn to find the switch on the ring light? And nah, I'd have to go hit the other light to get the glow to glow. But hey, I'm gonna give myself credit for the effort. Okay, now let's get the Horror House business card back in its spot. I don't have a legit Lego Dracula, but I do have the Scooby-Doo Dracula. Here's his coffin. Again, Lego with all their innovations. Plenty of coffins to go around on this table here. So there is, now see, if I was really smart, I would have put the figure in the coffin and it would have been more like an unboxing. This guy's got a little lint on him that I'm not able to remove from him right now, but there you go. Lego Scooby-Doo Dracula, which leads us to Playmates Scooby-Doo Dracula. If you can see some similar features between them. Again, limited articulation from our Playmobil characters, but good fun to have in the inventory all the same. And right back to Legoland. Those fangs are just totally doing their job. Those fangs, let me try to get him in here a little bit more. Man, is he even Lego? Come on. It's the whole reason they have the camera stand is to be able to use two hands on here. So let me stick to the plan. Look at that articulation on Lego Dracula with his claw-like hands. What a dynamite figure. Fanboys continuing to drop in some supportive commentary, which is much appreciated. All right, let's here we go. Sometimes we're shooting from our summer studio. Sometimes we're having a beverage. Let's get them right next to each other here. We got the Mr. Sea Diver helmet, but we also today are featuring the Geeky Tiki Dracula. So I don't think this is exact Bela Lugosi licensed. It obviously is supposed to be a stylized image. Spin around once, spin around twice, said the Macho Man. Again, look at those approximated wood carving ways into the Dracula. We do have the rest of the Universal Monster family. Let me see. Nanette's saying huge fangs on that one. All the better to pull the Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf bit. Absolutely. Okay. So again, Geeky Tiki is just good fun for whatever they're doing. Here, let's get them. Let's get their logo right in there. Geeky Tiki's good stuff. Okay, and back to Super 7. Previously, I had put the Super 7 figure next to the Super 7 glass, so I could talk Super 7 back to back with Super 7. But how many of these items have come to us by way of TriStar G? A good many of them showing our ongoing collaboration. So here we go. I should have wiped this guy down a little better after coming out of the hand wash, because this is not a machine wash item. But this is not quite Mad Monster Party energy in the eyes. This is a whole different blah, 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 blah. They're talking the hypnotic gaze with the most comedic of the expressions. Man, those fangs are definitely there. They're just freshly, unless he just had a tomato juice or a tiki drink that had some red business in it. Dracula by Super 7. Absolutely, Nanette. I say this on a pretty regular basis. I would like it for the Geeky Tiki people or the Beeline creative people to do business with Me TV and get a Svengoolie Tiki mug. Okay. All right. So as long as Nanette's right here on the screen, as we were stomping around the show floor of C2E2 in Rosemont, Illinois, I came across Epon 5. I left that in there because that's their name. So if you want to Google them or check them out, but they do stickers. I just realized now the magnet from the other guys from the Kane County stuff is the one piece I didn't get set up here, but that's okay. We'll keep going. So again, the whole idea of the lighting that they used in the movie to highlight the hypnotic gaze, evident right here in the Epon 5 sticker. I think I'm going to just pull one more, and then I'm going to slide over to the other table here. We got more Dracula stuff than we know what to do with here. This is from Jellico, and they did a real good group shot here. We got a bunch of Jellico stuff just higher up in the rafters here. Let me pull Nanette's comment down now. All right, so again, here we go. I made one switch around. Oh, wait, I'm not even ready to move yet. We'll do Funko to Funko then. So, and coming a little bit of the original Funko Dracula. Look, I'm going to have him stand on top of NECA Dracula for right now. Look at him. Look at him. He's ready to go. Again, the details, they got the little, I don't know, is it a pocket watch or whatever he's got on his chain? He's got the hands in place there. He's ready to go at people. Here's the mini sized, so it's not even the exact same figure, but it's good stuff in the Funko verse. Let me come to the Art Deco Dracula then, because again, they're the same guy, but with a slight repaint. But man, each of them has such a great style. Let me get closer in on. It's just a little bit of a more tannish distinction between the dress shirt and the vest. But again, the blue highlights there, blue highlights on the back of the cape. Between NECA and Jada and Funko and Monogram, it is at Super 7. It's just so cool to have so much good stuff going on. Here's a couple of, let me just get the camera closer to this corner now with the Svengoolie lunchbox in the background and the lights provided by Junkyard. Junkyard couldn't join us this morning. He's out living in the real world. But how cool. Again, the candle holder, the candelabra featured in its dragon-like form. And these were mini Funkos. Definitely good guys to have. Okay, here we go. Switching over. Let me start. Let me go big. Now, you can go to your Home Depot or you can go to your room decor sticker. And yeah, maybe I'm seeing now having the puzzle poster, having the puzzle framed art is kind of tinting the background image there. But how cool is this? Again, once I got the socks and I realized I was an all-in kind of a collector, then here we go. A wall size room decor decal. I didn't get a perfect application going there. It's a long story of the trial and error of what I was taken to get it all situated, but there we are with the giant size Dracula sticker, and we do rinse and repeat that across the other classic monster characters. Let me just come down here a little bit now. Scott. I learned of Scott Biederstadt's art through our pal Angel, and I am definitely due to try to chase Scott down, or rather catch up with Scott at C2E2. I think he's got some advancement in his independently published comic, but anyway, I look forward to catching up with Scott, and I've been trying to talk this guy into being a guest right here on this very channel for a good amount of time now. So when the time is right, let's hope that around the time of C2E2 will be a good time to pull in Scott for a guest. I was just in my mind going through Bella's lines of "Come here." So this mini placard here comes with the all these pieces come in the same kit with the larger scale Dracula. Man, what an awesome depiction. How many different ways can you depict a bat? How cool can you get on the Dracula logo on a silhouette Dracula? This is good stuff. Good stuff. Let me send that over there. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to Funko territory. Here, you want your Count Chocula? Here's your Count Chocula. Larger than, well, not literally larger than life, but larger than a cereal bowl. Super cool to have the lighthearted, the comedic expression for Count Chocula right here evident. I want to be real gentle with this guy because he's a big, heavy goon. And oh, look, right there, even more Count Chocula. Here he is in the box. Mr. C always delivers. Thank you so much, Chaitar. We're trying. Okay, so these were blocks. This was a very limited engagement. In other words, Funko didn't keep putting these back in the shelves and back in the shelves over and over again. And also available Booberry and Frankenberry. Unfortunately, I didn't see Yummy Mummy or the Fruit Brute into the cards. Come to manifest. Okay, so let's stay on our, as I was a minute ago playing Bella's voice in my head, now I'm picturing whoever does the cartoon voice work talking about how the Count Chocula is the better of the cereals compared to your Frankenberry, compared to your Booberry. Anyway, and here's more conventional sized, but there he is with the actual cereal bowl. We're shooting on a Saturday morning here in tribute to the good old cartoon days of Saturday mornings. Let me try to get from where the shadow won't be so evident. Let's get a good look into that bowl. Get a good look into that bowl. Get some Saturday morning cereal in you. As we know, the Count himself has inspired so many characters. Just also noteworthy to take a little pit stop by way of the Munsters, Grandpa Munster. So this guy came from the first, not the first ever, but as far as my attendance, as far as the family's attendance, the first time we went to the Flashback Horror Con, we were out the door, and then the wife says to me, "Can we go back and pick up these 4 Munsters?" And like, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to picking up the Munsters, but there's good old Grandpa. And let's get into, so many of us had a first impression of the Count via Count Von Count. Again, highlighting the purple is a nice energetic color. He's going a different way. He's got some yellow in his ribbonry making him distinct from good old Vlad Dracula. That's probably good that Count Von Count would be a bit distinct. I know we're talking in the past with Fanboy G about was the Count a little bit scary at certain points in our youth. Maybe that's a conversation to pick up again. So again, we're Funko heavy in this segment of our conversation, but to show that there is no limit, or there's nearly no limit to the influence, to the reach of the Universal horror characters, let's take a look at The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. And Vampire Krusty is a magnificent guy all on his own. Let's again keep that traditional Krusty coloring, crusty hair, crusty body type. But there he is, ready to represent with the fangs. Obviously part of a larger whole. That Simpsons Treehouse of Horror has a whole bunch of things going on. Now, I kind of like the lime green pants in contrast there to the gray jacket and the gray cape. I mean, come on, we used to use this more. I tell you, I got lazy on sequencing the letters, but again, here we are recognizing Dracula in 95 years. Let me see if I can come over here without making too much noise. Let's go into our Five Below pickup here. Again, probably not on the shelves at Five Below anymore right now, but we got Universal Monsters posters. I think these two are back to back, 12 pages all together in here. Again, this art I'm saying is probably the same artist as this one up here. So that's just a real nice single portrait, and then this one's a more avant-garde or more anthropomorphic. Is showing his transformation right there in the middle, going from man to bat, from bat to man. Look at the fingers also, the highlight on the skeleton within the wing there. So again, just fun to have some figures, fun to have some art. There's the Mummy. Let me take a quick second to say on the Graveyard Club podcast right now, we're every Friday night we're doing a recording on the Mummy. We got one more actual Lon Chaney Mummy movie, Lon Chaney Jr. Mummy movie to go over there. But shout out to the Graveyard Club and the Mummy crew over there. All right, let me get the marquee out of the way. Let me be sure I'm going to click the light off. Otherwise, I'm going to come back in 2 days and find I killed the battery. Typically in the background, when we do our business over here, the fine art of Doug Horn. Also billing himself as Swampfire Studios. But let's get zeroed in on there, because those of us who have a certain musical taste will know that Bauhaus, the musicians, one of their top musical releases is the song Bela Lugosi's Dead. And man, just again, the mashups, the creative mind of Doug Horn to take this traditional expression with backlit and bats flying in the background and the stonework on the castle walls. Again, that the come here clutch, but then it's zero in, so you think, hey, this is just a conventional great rendering of a Dracula. But then he hits you with the details of the Bauhaus logo from the Bauhaus band. Doug Horn, such a cool guy. So yeah, his official title is Bela Lugosi's Dead. That he did this in 2021. This is number 9 out of 50. There's the Doug Horn signature. And again, this is people who watch on a somewhat regular basis would be familiar very often that Doug Horn piece is right there in the background. Okay, and as long as we're still getting on the horror house, and as long as we're giving credit to Count Von Count, here we go, fresh out of the horror house. A nice little Count Von Count pin back in the NECA territory. So we saw from Fanboy G the glow-in-the-dark NECA figure. We saw from Tri-Star G the traditional NECA figure, and now here we are on NECA Toonie Terrors. Again, I don't want to monkey around too much and have him drop his candle from his candle holder here, but this is obviously the black and whites. So let's see if they're not so good at standing. They do have the stand, and I could have let me say this, that's not a product criticism. I could have taken more time to get him more secured on the stand, but well, I was moving a lot of pieces around to have highlighted here. Let's come to NECA Toonie Terror Sven right there, replicating from the opening shot of the Mego characters. putting Sven in the middle. Stay up, Dracula. Can you lean on Sven? There you go. Sven supporting the whole business. And now let's pull in colorized. Man, again, so many different ways to capture the Bella likeness and so many good efforts at it. Again, I could do more to compare the dragon style candelabra candle holder. Again, here we're at the red ribbon around the medallion. Over here, we're at the pure grayscale of it. How good are these guys? We're almost winding down here. Let me pull again the from Target Tiki Hut, because we like to have Sven, glow in the dark Sven, hanging out by the tiki bar. So let me just get that one over there. A little bit more Dracula proper here. Let me come back to Count Von Count. Again, keeping it family friendly. If you're in your local comic shop, and why not support your local comic shop in the Sesame Street line from Oni Press, which is interesting that they would go the way of Sesame Street when some of their other material is a bit more edgy. But right there, Count as supporting cast. Count and Grover well featured on this cover here by Joey Esposito, Austin Bocelli, maybe, Alessandro Santoro, and Sean Lee, the creative team. Now here's a matchup for the ages. You get Mumford the Magician, and you get Count Von Count, two purple dapper gentlemen pulling the family entertainment business from Oni Press. Absolutely good stuff. There is an existing video on this channel breaking down this book from Legend. So Legend, the movie studio, went the way of comics. And again, Richard Starkings is in here. So L. Gehring and Kerry Gamble are the creative leads on this. But again, you got some top flight art. And so, of course, I go right to the picture where there's a stake being driven. Man, this is a top flight comic. Absolutely hardcover graphic novel. Absolutely worth reading. Absolutely worth checking out. I'm going to also come around to the 2024 calendar. Again, similar art, not exactly the same, but the Dracula right here was featured in December of 2024. And if I can flip to June of 2024 with my other hand here, and let me, okay, oh, look, was it June or was it July? Right here, July of 2024. Again, this is probably the same artist or some similar stuff. I wish they would cite. There's stuff where I wish I would be smart enough to find where it is cited. So this is most of the Dracula stuff here, but let me take this moment to say, future, when's the next live stream, all that stuff. Oh, wait, Junkyard is on the road. Let me get Junkyard's comment. Love the glow in the dark. Yes, sir, Junkyard. Hey, it is awesome to have Junkyard in around. If not for Junkyard's guy up at Dreamland Comics, let me say this. I have two more Jada figures that are upstairs on the chair. Maybe those Jada figures could materialize down here in a little minute. See how I did that? While we're waiting for that to happen, let me come to supporting the independent movie. So as of January 20th, hang on. Yeah, let's knock everybody down. It wouldn't be, if we're knocking Amigos down on the Fanboy channel 3 years ago, now we're knocking down our Toonie Terror guys. So obviously, Vampire Zombies from Space, made in the recent years, is taking influence from Dracula himself. So Jacob, who's one of the writers on this on this specific independent horror movie. Jacob was good enough to come around, and he's a little bit occupied right now, but absolutely, I want to get this movie in the hands of Junkyard. I want to get this movie in the hands of a Fanboy G and a Chai-Star G, so we could possibly have a group review of this magnificent independent horror comedy of Vampire Zombies from Space, the cult classic in the making. So before we wind it all down, look at that shiny shoe of Dracula, the green chair near the tiki lamps would possibly be the location of my other guys. Uh, I always have to do something to go a mishap in the production. But I absolutely do want to get those Jada figures. I had a pretty good fun time just the other week showing the unboxing of the next level Jada Dracula. Let me get something more interesting than just the shoe. Yeah. Anyway, so the box was the top box of all boxes. Uh, Let me stand up here again just to try to here. Well, let me do this here. Speaking of my dad and his influence on the movies and all that stuff. This was obviously a superhero puzzle, not a Dracula puzzle that got put together by my dad while he was still around. So we definitely have this one always in the frame and always on par here, ready to go. Okay, I think we're gonna close out without showing the Jada guys today, and that's all right. This has been here, Junkyard is saying the movie looks awesome, absolutely, and it is awesome. So I hope everybody has a good time of watching Svengoolie tonight. I hope we've done a decent, fun time here. Thanks to Ted for coming around. Thanks to Nanette for coming around. Thanks, Chai Star. Thanks, Fanboy. Thanks, everybody. Do do enjoy yourself some Svengoolie double feature tonight on the Me TV. I'm gonna close. I'm gonna close us out. We're gonna peel out by way of the Scooby Doo Creeper car. Nanette has to say, thanks for sharing. Absolutely a good time on my part, Nanette. Thank you for being around for it. All right, I'm gonna close us out, and thanks, and we are out.